The first half I'm going to speak mainly this evening on the cosmogenesis and metaphysics of the secret doctrine in light of modern science. And I'm going to try to deal with creation physics and string theory and holographic theory. It's a complex talk. I can only present the more complex ideas to a group like this because you already have some study in Blavatsky, so I don't have to begin everything from first principles. You may not understand everything I say this evening, and I don't have time to elaborate everything fully. I could take one page of this presentation and speak an hour on it. The second, then we'll have some questions and discussion, then we'll take a break, and the second half is discussions of the nature of the monad and an alternate view of the origins and nature of human consciousness. So the first part is creation and physics, and second part is consciousness studies. Okay, here's a picture of my book, God, Science, and the Secret Doctrine, the zero-point metaphysics and holographic space of H.P. Blavatsky. Now, what I've managed to do is discern some very key teachings in the secret doctrine which generally are overlooked about the Laya centers or zero-point centers, as Blavatsky discusses them in the secret doctrine. Now, she doesn't go extensively into this subject, but she gives enough keys and clues in this work that I've tried to bring those together and then relate them intelligently to modern physics. Okay, how do we go? Deity is in every point of the universe. So imagine a 0 point, but that point, somehow deity might be in every point. This evening is dedicated to what I call the Holy World Star, Helena P. Blavatsky. I like to think of her as a holy world star. It's like a variant of a Hollywood star, but she's a real star. She's a star of the divine wisdom teachings. And there's no comparable to her in the past century, in my view. Sylvia Cranston, in her biography of Blavatsky, this is my favorite quote of Blavatsky: "You are a very great woman, and I do not think that anybody but yourself, either man or woman, could have written the secret doctrine. Nor do I feel competent, from the depth of my ignorance, even to express an opinion upon its extraordinary contents. I do not profess to understand you, for you inhabit space of more dimensions than I can even conceive, and I am not so great a fool as to be unable to see that you have a genius quite transcendent." Three major aims of the secret doctrine. These are all very pertinent to this evening's presentation. Firstly, to show that nature is not a fortuitous concurrence of atoms, and to assign man his rightful place in the scheme of the universe. If you go into modern science, you see continually how science describes processes as random or accidental. In my own writing, you read the chapter, I have a chapter in my book called The Accidental Universe. And it begins with the Big Bang that happens because of a random quantum fluctuation. And then the galaxies form by random out of clouds, and then the solar systems form by random, and then all the evolutionary changes. Everything is random or accidental. So her idea is not a fortuitous concurrence of atoms, but rather to show intelligent design in nature. Second aim is to rescue from degradation the archaic truths which are the basis of all religions. And that's what the secret doctrine is about. It's a synthetic work that synthesizes all these Eastern and Western esoteric teachings. It provides the keys for us to understand a wide range of occult spiritual teachings beyond Blavatsky's work. Thirdly, to demonstrate that the occult side of nature has never been approached by the science of modern civilization. Today there are some books on the new physics or aspects of quantum theory, but in the main there's no consistent systematic approach in modern times to consider the occult side of nature in a systematic way and with a broader viewpoint. Okay, I skipped one, but it was a lot of quotes. Blavatsky on science, and David gave he used some of my quotes. I won't repeat them. Blavatsky had such neat commentary on science in her day. I'll see if I can go back here. I don't know how do I do this? Okay, previous. Whoops. I'm not used to not using my mouse a little bit. Okay.
Try the left arrow key.
Okay, here we go. One I particularly like is the rejection of these teachings may be expected and must be accepted beforehand. No one styling himself a scholar in whatever department of exact science will be permitted to regard these teachings seriously. They will be derided and rejected a priori in this century, but only in this one. For in the 20th century of our era, scientists will begin to recognize that the secret doctrine has neither been invented nor exaggerated, but on the contrary, simply outlined. As you'll see tonight, aspects of Blavatsky's work are really so bizarre, so unusual, that it's only in the physics of the last 10 years even that we can really begin to understand them to a different depth, with the newest ideas in string theory and holographic theory. Science is finally beginning to catch up to Blavatsky. But even tonight, when I explain aspects of holographic physics, Blavatsky still provides a more complex model than modern physicists have arrived at. And I'll try to show that this evening. Often in my book, I talk about the problem of God's contracting universe. People wonder, like, when I put God, science, and the secret doctrine, like Madame doesn't usually talk about God. So why would I entitle the book that? And in ways because I'm trying to address the issues of science and religion. And I use Carl Sagan in my writing as a foil, as someone who represents the opposing view from my own. He said it used to be believed that every event in the world, the opening of the morning glory, let us say, was due to divine micro-intervention by the deity. The flower was unable to open by itself. God had to say, hey, flower, open. Now, what I'm trying to portray here is how simplistic people portray religious or metaphysical or mystical views. Who said, did Blavatsky say God had to say, hey, flower, open? Other example Sagan uses in his book, he said they used to believe that the angels had to push and pummel the planets until we developed a theory of gravity. And now we have a theory of gravity, we don't need the angels anymore. And then in the end of this quote he says, as we learn more and more about the universe, there seems less and less for God to do. And that's what I use, that quote, to pose the problem of God's contracting universe. Is that true? What is it we've learned in science that diminishes or dismisses an occult perspective? Oh, the example, Newton's example is at the bottom, but I don't want to read all of these things. And there, hey, God had to say, hey, flower, open. That's just Stephen Hawking, another person who, in Stephen Hawking's view, Stephen Hawking wanted to deal with the idea of the collapse, the origin of the universe from a singularity. And the singularity in physics was regarded as a point you can't go beyond the singularity, because of the singularity all the laws of physics break down. So Stephen Hawking felt if we developed a model of quantum gravity theory, then that would smear out the Big Bang singularity, and then the universe could just be without having had to have had a creator. I'll come back to this. Okay. Now, on the right, this is Paul Davies talking, and the atheist here is making the point I'm not sure you need to read. It may be better not to be reading as I speak. I'm not really sure. I'll elaborate much of what is said there. But the atheist makes the point. He says, well, to say that there's a God and God did it,